Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Anime Ramble. Today I got for you My Hero Academia chapter 310. What is going on? Well, Midoriya is back in the fray, alright? Dark stormy night, he responds to the screams of a woman calling for help, and what's happening in this chapter is that a group of survivors have basically trapped this girl and are attacking her with what seems like to be support gear. This is when our boy jumps in to rescue her and manages to calm down the group of men rather quickly and explains the situation to them regarding everything and why she was out in the middle of the night to begin with, stating that she was only there because the town that they're in right now wasn't a town that was directly affected by the war between the heroes and the villains, and since the war ended, criminal activity is steadily on the rise through probably the entire world, not just the towns that were affected, given the fact that all of these prisons have now been released and freed by Shigaraki and everybody there. So crime is through the roof, people are frantic, people are afraid, and this is just a response to that. We already knew from previous chapters at the beginning of My Hero Academia when we were introduced to it, people who are born with quirks that physically alter their appearance are looked at as pretty much second-class citizens. They're looked at as monsters, they're feared, and people are afraid of them off rip. So now you have a situation where there are more villains in the streets. It's dark and stormy night and she's just walking through a rainy ass city, and these people who are already on high defense and high alert see them like, yeah, no, we can't let you go. But even with all of that, after he manages to calm them down, they realize it, everything's good. You would expect for Midoriya at this point to take the woman and take her to safety so something like this doesn't happen. It's the middle of the night, it's storming, you're a hero, escort her to safety. Doesn't happen, doesn't matter. He walks off. All Might pulls up in the Bentley coupe to pick up Shawty Girl and take her to UA because apparently that's where she was going. She doesn't have a car, no quirk that allows her to move quick, whatever. But All Might, he pulls up, he's dripping, and this is kind of fucked up on my part, but on page 7 you see how tall she is. And I'm like, bro, there's no way. You're like 8 foot, 7 foot, 12. There's no way you're going to be able to fit into that coupe with All Might. But she does. We're not going to worry about it. They dip off. But before All Might and Midoriya actually part ways, he gives Midoriya a lunchbox of tonkatsu and tells him that it's going to keep his spirits up. That was page 8. Flash forward to the last page and we see Deku actually eating the box lunch already. And I'm confused because it's raining outside. But what's important to keep in mind is that the wording on page 19, when they say things are about to move more quickly from here on out, I'm gonna just go out on a limb, knowing Horikoshi and his love for Western comics, and I'm gonna go out on a strong limb and say that the next quirk that we're gonna see come from him is definitely gonna be a speed-based quirk, something reminiscent of the Flash. You know, he really does love his Western comics. Something reminiscent of the Flash, because this is exactly what you would see in DC Comics. If you've never read a comic and you're strictly manga, people with speed-based abilities have to eat constantly because their metabolism burns through everything so fucking fast. You see Midoriya eating in pitch black darkness in the middle of a rainstorm, and that doesn't bring question to anybody's mind? I question the fuck out of it, and that's what's leading me to this theory now. So this is important because we're still left in the dark about the last 2 quirks of the One For All users. We know their names, but we don't know the quirks that they had. So this is big, and this is going to be pivotal moving forward. And it's really going to determine whether or not Midoriya can actually do what he says he's going to do in order to, at the bare minimum, capture Shigaraki. His quirks right now have all been stated that they're not overpowered quirks. He doesn't have anything insane. This man's not shooting lasers. They're just support quirks, essentially, right? So I think something speed related is definitely going to help this man more so than just Black Whip. If he can start combining these quirks, if he has speed behind his back, everything is going to get increased. If you put speed behind his punch, he's Saitama. If he uses float in speed, well, now he's flying. He's not just floating, okay? Speed and smokescreen, a bigger fucking smokescreen. The whole thing, people can't catch up with you. It allows you to be a little bit more flexible, a lot more flexible and nimble. But that's going to be a tall order to task, and the reason he hasn't been able to do this up until this point is because the 2 previous users of One For All who won't allow him to use their quirks, right? I was always curious about this. Why? And we find out in chapter 310 the reason why they won't allow Deku to use their quirks is because Deku wants to save them. He doesn't. The 2 previous One For All users do not want to save them, but by the end of the chapter, they've managed to come around. They've stated that they lived through the worst era of All For One, right? They lived and they fought during the peak of his power before whoever, whenever it started to die down, they lived through the peak of it. And so they're still holding on to that. Like, no, I don't want to save him. But towards the end of the chapter, they do manage to come around. We see, I think, the second user in Deku having that little dialogue between the 2, and they're like, yeah, all right, let's do this. And we're going to see what's really about to happen. The fights are about to get really intense. We know that it's coming towards the end of the series, so we're really going to see what is in stock for them. For real, he needs a at least one more overpowered quirk, okay? And he needs at least one more. Give him something. If the second user is gonna be speed, I wouldn't even know what to give him. I really like the support aspect, but I'm not gonna ramble anymore, even though this is the anime ramble. You already know what to expect. But ladies and gentlemen, that is all I have for you today. If you made it to the end, go post those and smash that subscribe button. It lets me know you rock with the content that I put out on this channel. Like the video if you like the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video. Comment on the video your thoughts about what you think is gonna happen and what you think the last 2 quirks for Deku will be. Subscribe if you're brand new, and like always, until next time, I'm out.